various other like Rhodes scholars that would loan us their channel.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
hilarious. Well,
Yeah.
so YouTube, in other words, leave our channel alone. Don't take it. Take it.
All right. Now, let's go to it's still O'Keefe Media Group, but he's in the midst of taking back Project Veritas. He's going to have, is that Menage a Trois or Polyamory? Anyway, he's going to have more than one organization, it looks like, soon. But right now, this is O'Keefe Media Group bringing you the high production value of James's cinematic studio, showing you footage from a couple years ago that he's had for a while, but he is now releasing to the world. So let's check it out.
Last week, we've shown you newly obtained video from inside the buildings on Jeffrey Epstein's private island in the Virgin Islands shortly after his arrest. We took you inside Jeffrey Epstein's kitchen, inside his personal library, even inside the master bedroom where we could see those phones on the bedside tables with speed dials and names. Now, we take you inside the
Pause it for a
infamous
second.
mysterious temple. New footage.
Now, you guys just watched that with me, right? So we just watched that together. When he walks over to the green screen and he has to point to parts of it, do you think he feels a little bit like a weatherman? Just a little bit? You know, just it's producer to producer camaraderie there. All right, let it go ahead and play.
Received by O'Keefe Media Group gives a detailed look at the interior. No one has ever seen this before. Here we go. You are looking inside this mysterious building, and the walls are covered with what appears to be a marble textured finish and a wooden bookshelf with one solid column on the left and one spiraling shape stretching to the ceiling on the right. And if you look up at the top of this mysterious temple, you'll see what appears to be a detailed celestial painting filled with astrological figures. But before we dive too deep into that, let's just take a step back.
As they say over there at OMG, just the tip. All right. I was looking for you guys. I was looking for a reference for you guys. So I brought out 3 books that I have not shown on the show before. This first book was a little disappointing. It's the New Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by A.E. Waite. This is probably back in the early 1900s. And I was looking in here for Jachin and Boaz, which are the names of those 2 columns on the Epstein bookcase. And they are highly symbolic pieces of Freemasonry, which is an occult secret society based on the Old Testament. So I'm not saying there's any connection to things going on in the Middle East today or how the British imperialists created Jabotinsky and, you know, led up to people like BB, who celebrates the bombing of the King David Hotel by posing for pictures in front of there. But anyway, I was in this Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. We're not going to be in it too long. But when we do have John Bown on the podcast here coming up, oh wait, that says John Brown. I was going to ask him about that, but that's not what we need out of that book anyway. So let's go to the better book. John Bown, John Brown, Toby Wong. You get the joke. Only if you've seen Reservoir Dogs, though. All right, Lexicon of Freemasonry. This is a better book because it's a little bit more useful. This is by Albert G. Mackey, 33rd Degree. And this is a very nice book. It's got some nice, like, look how the pages are cut on there. I don't know if you can see that, but they're very nicely accoutramented pages here. They got texture to them. So I'm going to take you to this definition right here. Jachin, Jachin. Okay, this is the lexicon of Freemasonry. These are the words associated with Freemasonry. This is how you know what's up, right? This is what they call an authoritative source. So we're going to look right here in Jachin. It says, the name of the right-hand pillar that stood at the porch of King Solomon's temple. How many times did he use temple? Did Epstein have a temple? Was Epstein a Freemason? Well, these are interesting questions. King Solomon's temple. It is derived from 2 Hebrew words, Jah and Ayachin. Jah Ayachin, will establish. It signifies, therefore, God will establish. So that's one pillar. And you say, well, what's the other pillar? And I would say, let's go over here to this entry. And before you can go to it, you need to see that there's a lot of things in here that have to do with the Kabbalah that play into this. And that entry reads like this. Kabbalah is that particular peculiar science or philosophy of the Jews, which is occupied in the mystical interpretation of the scriptures and in the metaphysical speculations concerning the deity and the spiritual world. There's a lot of Freemasonry is about these types of things. So in between those two pillars, there might be things like that. And then here's Boaz. Boaz, the name of the left-hand pillar that stood at the porch of King Solomon's temple. It is derived from the Hebrew bin, and Oaz, strength, and signifies in strength, firm in strength. See pillars. So if we go back, firm in strength, and God will establish firm in strength. That's the two pillars. So what's in between? I guess you got to go to those meetings to find out. But wait, as Ron Popeil said, there's more. I also have the Arcana of Freemasonry, history of Masonic signs and symbols. There's a couple different pillars here, and there's a ladder. There's a whole bunch of. This is tracing board. Go watch Mark Passio for a couple weeks. You'll learn about tracing boards and all that good stuff. Let's see. All right. My purpose of bringing this book out is I didn't find Jackin and Boaz, but I found the penchant for Freemasons like Kipling and Masonry in general, using symbols that look like a swastika. In fact, as you flip through, there are swastika symbols in their book that existed like before the Nazis picked it up. Swastika. They're noticing it's all throughout history and cultures, right? And they're showing those. But if you post that on Twitter, you'll get banned. Or if you post the Raelian logo, you might get banned too. So I went through this book and I could not find. There was a guy I grew up near. He was like the gangster kingpin, rich guy of the area. He lived on a road called El Shaddai. And when I read this book, I was like, dude, that's the name of that guy's road. And it means God on the hill, right? So he worked for there's a mafia syndicate that works with Les Wexner and One Nation Under Blackmail. That syndicate, they own sports teams and stuff. So they're active syndicates. So I'm not gonna give them airtime right now. I'm not gonna platform that syndicate, but those are real things out there, real enough to be avoided if you're a smart person. So Arcana of Freemasonry, if you want to see the signs and symbols of swastikas being used by the Masons before they gave it to Tiny Mustache Man, who was probably part of their project. If you want to get down to the other parts of Jackin and Boaz, those are the two pillars on that type of altar within that temple at the island that is notorious for child predation and frequenting of U.S. politicians in specific, probably from all over the world, but the ones we care about are the ones that are supposed to be representing us. They claim to represent us and they do all these things in our name. I think we should probably, I don't know. Well, how did the Declaration of Independence start? When two groups have differences, they should probably separate. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not calling for secession or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, let's not be stupid anymore. And maybe we should get the education we deserve instead of following these fools in their three-card Monte game of musical chairs.
Yeah, apparently, according to this source here, it says between 80,000 and 200,000 Freemasons were murdered during the Holocaust. So Hitler took their freaking swag.
Yeah, he outlawed competing secret societies, which also might have been funding him from the outside, but he didn't let them inside Germany.
Yeah.
Right? So the people that were funding Germany from on high, those people in the British system and the American system, those people were Freemasonically all tied up. And that continued after World War II, after Hitler left the scene, right? But they also are a group that, if you read, what's the book called? I think it's by Robert Lomas, The Hiram Key. Hiram Abiff is part of the Old Testament fable of how Masonry started. Robert Lomas wrote a book about early Masonry, like going back to Egyptian priests. And if you read books like this or the lexicon, you'll see it's all about Egyptian priesthood and ancient mystery schools and Albert Pike and all that stuff, right? That direction that they took, like they never changed that. They just cloak it in like child charity, right? The Shriners take care of burned children. They do all these amazing things. And yeah, I'm glad to see children being taken care of. On the other hand, if that's just a front that funds a bunch of stuff that goes on in the background that's not so good, then maybe we should just look at it for what it is. But there's a lot of history to these things. Then you can get turned on to some of this back in the day by like Jordan Maxwell. But I'd be incredulous because you can't just, the guy's telling stories. How much of this is true? What can I go out and verify for myself? But that's probably where I found Fire in the Minds of Men by James H. Billington. Like every now and then he would drop a reference and I'm like, dude, where's that book? Oh, it's written by a Rhodes Scholar, Librarian of Congress. It's the official story of secret societies, mystery religions, and how revolutions are started. Yeah, that's probably more valuable than anything that college or schooling fed me on the topic. I'll read that, right? And so when you have better offers in your life, you do more interesting things because otherwise I'd have been getting more DVDs from Netflix. Maybe they'll send me 6 at a time. I have to keep sending them back in the mail. Remember those days? It was after Blockbuster, but before everything was streaming for $80 a month. Remember those years?
Yeah, the CD or the DVD vending machines. That was
Or if you
live
do
there.
if you do trades work or contractor work or home improvement work, do you guys remember when you could get a dumpster and just let it sit there all month and fill it up instead of having to return it in 3 days or get charged double?
Dude,
Right?
I got a
Remember when a
big ol' ass
dumpster was just
dumpster.
a fee and it didn't matter how much it weighed? What do you got?
I got a big dumpster in my driveway right now.
Yeah, you
Loving it.
got 30 yard. How big is it?
I can't remember, but yeah, it's a big old ass dumpster. We've already filled one.
I filled a 30 yarder. I'm about to get another one, but I'm going to wait in between. I'm going to stack the stuff up and then get the appropriate size. You know what you should not do? Do not go to Home Depot, spend 30 bucks on one of those waste management bags that they come to your house and pick up. Because I bought 3 of those. I thought that's the greatest idea. You can move, like, you got different parts of the job site. You want to move that stuff around. You pick it up with the excavator, move it around. It's like a durable bag. And then one day, after I filled up 3 of these bags, because I was trying to avoid, like, oh, I got to show you this Ruskin quote that I showed the students earlier today. All
Although
right, so I would,
those bags are awesome though when you're doing like tile work to throw things away and then to throw
okay.
them in the dumpster. But yeah, the pickup.
Yes. So I filled up 3 of those dumpsters. They were 30 bucks a piece, and I was like, they're gonna come pick them up. They'll probably charge 100, 200 bucks, right? Each bag was 300 bucks to pick it up. So I'm like, that's 900 bucks. So why don't I just scrap my $90 investment, go get a $700 can, 30 yards, by the way. Those 3 dumpsters I put in there didn't even touch the space in the dumpster. So there's such a ripoff, right? So it goes to this quote, and I've known this quote for years, and I've tried to repeat it to people. But today, the students were talking about it in the autonomy Q&A. So I was like, I got to look up that quote, and then I was shocked by who said it because he's a friend of Cecil Rhodes and Kipling, and he inspired Cecil Rhodes, right? It's his teacher. So the quote goes like this: "It is unwise to pay too much, but it's worse to pay too little. When you pay too much, you lose a little money. That's all. When you pay too little, you sometimes lose everything because the thing you bought was incapable of doing the thing it was bought to do. The common law of business balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. It can't be done. If you deal with the lowest bidder, it is well, like wise, to add something for the risk you run. And if you do that, you will have enough to pay for something better." So he's like, the lowest bidder on a project is likely going to come to you and say, I need more money. I can't finish it. Right. So that's going to happen anyway. Might as well go with the guy who's giving you a legit bid and does it right the first time. And this is big today in the counterfeit market. Like if you go on Amazon, they got knockoffs of everything. Fine for some things, very dangerous in other things. And so to be discerning. So anyway, the idea that I teach in autonomy is you just get rid of the anti-scarce, like you get rid of that scarcity mentality by being able to offer more value to the market than you need back in return. And then you can afford to not look at the price and just buy the thing you need. The best in class, if especially if it's like something that you could get hurt with, if it's a tool or a piece of equipment, you don't want the look-alike. You want the thing that actually does the thing without killing you, right? Sometimes failure means death in this game of life. So knowing how to make those decisions is a lot easier when it's like, okay, I have the money to buy whatever. I don't want to be frivolous and I don't want to be too penny pinchy. I want to get the thing, there's a sweet spot in commerce, and we can't do that as unwise consumers. So as you learn more about how business works and how deals are actually structured, you become more aware that, I don't want to go with the cheapest bid, and I probably don't want the most expensive bid. There's someone in the middle who would appreciate my business and give me good service and deliver with integrity, that would be appreciative of the work right now, right? So going through those extra few steps, I find you buy once, you cry once, right? Do it right the first time. You don't have to worry about it. You get more things done, a whole lot less drama and stress, because you solve the money issue by upping your value, upping your talent, upping your availability and ability to solve big real world problems in a way that what you get in return is more than what you need. And then you don't have to worry about plundering anyone else's production, and you have enough to protect your production from being plundered. And that's freedom. That's autonomy.
And
So,
then speaking of autonomy, I mean, conversely to that, I mean, that's something that I remember learning about. It's like the price that, like, let's say you have an offer, whether it's a service or product, like your price reflects the value of it, right? So if you're trying to sell a service, like for me, if I'm bidding a job, you're right. It's like that sweet spot. You don't want to over deliver, but you also don't want to be way too cheap, and then that's gonna reflect on you as a contractor, as whatever, right? Like, so you have to find an appropriate value to assign that kind of reflects the quality work, and then finding where that sweet spot is really kind of the trick. But also, it's something that like new entrepreneurs struggle with, because sometimes it's hard to be like, is it real? It's like I've had that experience before where it's like I go in with a bid and I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is way too high. I kind of feel guilty about it. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Great. Let's do it. I'm like, oh, awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's like that getting over that self-doubt around that aspect is a big obstacle, I think, for people in like the entrepreneurial world for sure.
or knowing how to deal with a client who says, I've got to bid that's half that, and then being able to compare apples to apples. Like, well, did you ask about this? And did you ask about this? And are they bonded and insured? Or is one of their guys going to fall and you lose your house because they know it's already paid for? Right? Like your retirement, like you could just tell by how people were set up sometimes. There's a movie about that called I Care a Lot, about them using adult guardian services, preying on people who had like stuff paid off, and they just kidnap them and take all their resources. That's real stuff that goes on out there. But it gets me in a tangent, and I was interrupting Paul. So go ahead, Paul.
Or no, I was going to
Oh
say,
no, Tease. Whoever
yeah,
was about to speak. Yeah, sorry.
sure, yeah, no. Well, all this talk about breaking things down and building them back up again kind of makes me wonder who the land holding jurisdiction of the Epstein Island falls under. Because if you look into the labyrinthian kind of cryptography of esotericism, why the hell wouldn't they just break down whatever was there, build up a set, tell us that's what was always there, and then leave us to just accept it?
Yeah. I was thinking
Something else must be going on.
when I was watching that video, I was like, they didn't do any like panning shot from, okay, here's the outside of the temple. Okay, now we're gonna walk in. I'm like, how can we even verify that that was even the inside of the
Not
temple?
only that, but did you
Keep going
notice,
for it?
like the show of grandiosity would be to have big slabs of marble, but instead he's like, I'm just going to buy the scraps. It was very efficient. It's like, I just put the scraps in and grout them. I'm not sure. I'm just making fun of an altar I don't understand, I guess. That's all I can do from my desk.
I can introduce into the record something that goes into the cultural underpinnings, not necessarily the geometric formations of the temple itself. And speaking of Veritas, this is MK Ultra, ritual abuse and mind control, tools of domination for the nameless religion. Insofar as the way that it's structured, it's actually really, really well done. It's kind of like a comprehensive overview of SRA and all that kind of thing, and how long this has been going
Stanford
on.
research, right?
Satanic
Oh,
ritual abuse.
okay.
Yeah,
Not to
yeah.
be confused with, or
Yeah, right.
maybe
Although if
one
you
and the
get it,
same. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's actually really good. Yeah, necessary point. The only thing that'd be frustrating for from a scholarly perspective is that the bibliography is kind of just like etched into the bottom as you go through it. But this is kind of like a
Is
comprehensive.
there an index? That's how I judge all books, by their index.
Yeah, it's not great. Like it's like a English translation from the French one, but so it's one of those things where it's like a comprehensive overview of the conferences, the research literature, the incidents of it, going back to like primitive people trying to trigger dissociative identity within in their warriors to then send them out onto the battlefield as berserkers gnawing at their fields, that kind of thing. And so it's sort of, this is a long refinement of the supplementing of nature and nurture with nature and torture. And you can get a lot out of that. And that's what's been going on. So these are some real sick individuals who have a long history of staging ground because all the world's a stage. And then when we step into it, we don't understand the various different intricacies or layers that go along with that. And then, like you said, if you don't ask those questions, you can just make assumptions and then you're trapped inside of a cage.
And if you're going to write a book about MK Ultra, make sure you don't confuse the C with the K, because if you do Mick Ultra, I'm sure McDonald's would sue you, even though it's an honest mistake. They would probably take advantage of that. All right, so moving forward in a world that's trying to trick you, we have to learn how to use our adaptive learning skills. I think that's an important thing. I have an invitation to speak in a couple weeks at the Hacking Freedom Conference that's hosted by Anarchapulco. It's a virtual conference. I think it might be their first, like, entirely virtual conference. But I'm giving a speech there called, a speech? Is it a lecture? I'm sharing a message. It's called How to Start Your Own Personal Revolution. It's really like an alchemist's dream, turning your lead into gold. However, being that CERN just turned lead into gold last week, I don't know, is it good market timing for that? But learning how to outgrow the schooling impediments is essential now, because otherwise 5 years from now, AI is just going to control everything in the woke image that it was programmed. And I'd like maybe the rest of us to have some input on the system before they want to take a global lockdown type of scenario, which was the original intention of the iPhone. I think that was the design. It was like a prison, like it's shaped like a prison yard. I don't know. I'll find the graphic. There's a meme. We'll see it. We haven't seen it yet. But I just realized I didn't send the next block to Colby. Did you guys ever hear that Ruskin quote about spending too little and spending too much? Was that on your radar?
Oh,
The wisdom of Ruskin?
I've heard a version of it that's like you can have it cheap, fast, and good, but you can only pick two of the three. So it's like you can't have all three, but if you pick two, you can either have it fast and cheap, fast and good. Like, just, yeah. I think it's about the energy exchange, and you can't just get something out of nothing. And so, yeah, when it comes to providing value, there's the price and then there's the cost, right? Sometimes the cost is outsourced. And so,
There's
whether
the
that's,
value, there's the price, and there's the cost.
yeah, exactly.
It kind of loosely jogs my memory from a Steve Buscemi quote from Armageddon when he's making a joke about the lowest bidder being the
Yeah, the government contracts. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, don't think about the fact that we're on a rocket that's made by the, lowest bidder.
Yeah.
You know,
That-
that was one of his best roles.
Yeah.
That and Big Lebowski and Reservoir Dogs. Wasn't he in that? He was in that. He was in something like
oh
that.
yeah, Reservoir Dogs for sure. Dude. Mhm.
Toby Wong. See, it's a callback joke. That's what that
Sopranos.
is. It's what you do when you don't have enough money to make the call. You have to make a callback joke. Back in the day, it was just ring once and hang up, and you have to call the person back at the phone booth. I think that's how that worked. Never really done it. Maybe I saw it in a movie. What's the statute of limitation on things? I'm always careful, like where to draw the line there. All right, these guys are not careful about where they draw their lines. Maybe Piers Morgan is. Maybe the line moved and Piers is just on the other side of it, or somebody moved Piers's cheese and said, yeah, there's a lot of controversy over here if you take this position, because Piers is turning on Israel. And I don't mean in a Rabbi Shmuley way, although I did hear Jimmy Dore make that joke that I tried to make last week, so he did it better at least. But turning on has been a thing in the story headlines for the past couple of weeks, and I'm not sure that everyone's picking up on the hilarious double entendres that are laid out, especially in context of Shmuley and his daughter's business, because that business is just bananas. But they do have banana-shaped things there for you if you are James Comey or whoever receives James Comey's mail. I heard he might no, maybe that was that the AI? Did I get fooled by the AI video? Was that not real earlier? That Colbert thing? Oh, geez. My bad. Plausible deniability is called. That's what I just laid down there in the transcript. All right, this is the end for Israel. This is Jimmy Dore's claim. I don't believe this, but this is his claim. Watch as Piers Morgan turns on Israel. Again, Don't put your mind in the gutter. The next one is how Trump is building greater Israel with Matt Kim. I'm setting it up so you can see the other Matt Kim clip later that I want to show you because I saw it and I was just like, I can't believe these guys are saying this stuff. But they're saying it. And that was a thing. They had a big clip go viral recently. It was all about usury. And what they did not expect it to go viral. I don't think it's in this clip, so I'm explaining something that's bridging these two clips together. And apparently YouTube likes the controversy algorithm because they showed it to a bunch of people who are like, oh, hate mail for these guys. But at least they're getting out there. They're getting the views they need.
Yeah, watch them take our YouTube channel after we play their clip, right?
We don't have a YouTube channel. Someone
Someone.
allegedly
I don't have a YouTube channel.
they make us available on YouTube, but it's not my account because I'm
It's
not
definitely
doing
not.
it.
It's not our account. My bad.
Definitely not my account
Transcript.
that would do this.
It would
Only
never.
maybe clips would go on my account for certain reasons that we discovered during COVID, and we put policies in place to have what they call R accounts, pirate accounts. That's what Ryan called them, right? Ryan and Corbett. Credit where credit's due. I mean, it's not like super there's not a lot of steps to it, but you just basically create a channel that's not your channel, and then it can be your channel. So it's a pirate channel. So Cecil
YouTube.
Rhodes, for a long time, Cecil Rhodes was letting us use this channel, and we've had various other like Rhodes scholars that would loan us their channel.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
hilarious. Well,
Yeah.
so YouTube, in other words, leave our channel alone. Don't take it.
Take it.
Hey, YouTube, leave our channel alone. I appreciate the take it. That comes from Talk Soup. That's Joel McHale's show back in the day, which, like this show, is not funny at all. And we looked for a long time. That clip, the context is this. Let me just build it out since you have a soundboard and you played it. That way, even T's can understand here. So I'm going to speak at like a 13th grade level. Talk Soup was a show that would make fun of other shows. So they'd take clips and they'd play them and you laugh, and that was the satisfaction. One day, Joel McHale did this very unexpected thing. He took something that was really not going to be funny, but then it became funny. So Flavor Flav had a TV show, Flavor of Love. One of the contestants for his Flavor of Love was a girl named New York. MTV then gave New York her own show where she went out and did like a dirty job Mike Rowe type of situation. So picture this, dig if you will this picture. In this frame, there is a hog, a female hog. There is a farmer, and there is this woman named New York who used to try to get some flavor of love. What's she doing now? She's putting on a rubber glove up to her elbow. And this farmer is handing her like a thinner version of something Shmuley sells, and it's to artificially inseminate this sow. Okay. So you're about to see New York, who used to compete for Flavor's Love. And now she's going to stick this long instrument with some semen in it into this animal. And as she's preparing to do it, the farmer, out of his wisdom and years of practice, says, try to say something comforting to the hog. She's on the spot. She has no script. She puts on her glove. She sticks it in the female pig. Take it. Take it. There you go. There you go.
Take it.
Now you guys know just a little bit of how funny it was real time 20 years ago. And then why that sound lives on our soundboard now. It has a nice little home, and it will be used just as often as Ethan Klein or even Dan Bongino saying
You don't have to think about it, dude.
Yeah, as soon as we can hear Bongino saying he killed himself, and then Bill Gates saying, well, you've got to be careful. He's dead
He's
now.
dead. So
Yeah.
Liberal.
Then we need AJ saying, this is not Grand Theft Auto.
I'll get that one queued up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got
that's
some
a good one.
surprises, but I'm waiting for the.
All right. So do you have that hooked up to your Roadcaster? How you doing?
Yep. Well, yeah, they've got a few little slots on the Roadcaster here. I can just push the little button, and but yes, there are digital ones too because I have way more sound bites here than can fit on the soundboard. So
That was LD's problem. He was using his Stream Deck, and then he was having to have folders of layers. And by the time he got to it, it wasn't. Yeah, he was just.
I know
challenged by it. Yeah.
they make apps that just have a giant interface with a.
I've seen those, but I don't know how to make it work. So
I'm gonna make that a mission. Hopefully
I already had enough equipment I bought over the years that I didn't know how to make it work, and it just sits in the closet. Like Pete Buttigieg, Rhodes Scholar, by the way. There you go.
Is he sitting in the closet though?
I heard
He's all the way out.
with Douglas Murray. They were kissing in the no.
I mean, once you start,
that was National Enquirer that I was reading. I should not reference that.
Once you start buying babies with your husband, I'd say you're all the way out of the closet. Booty juice. So there you go.
I didn't know how.
Liberal.
There you go. That's how. That was the punctuation we needed on that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week course. It teaches leadership, entrepreneur skills, executive skills, all these types of things that I saw were taken out of our education system in order to make the schooling or indoctrination system that we've all probably went through. And it has served us well enough to be interchangeable cogs in the machine of the globalists. But if we want a homestead, if we want write our own ticket, work from home job, work from anywhere type of situation, they're not exactly handing those out at the end of college. They give you a piece of paper and they're like, good luck. So reality is dropping us off here, but the demands of reality are up here. So I created Autonomy to help people close that gap for themselves so they can level up their skills to the demands of the situations that life is putting in front of us presently. Life's demands of intellect and understanding precision and complexity are ever increasing. The schooling didn't prepare us for it. The media is not going to do anything but reinforce what schooling prepared us for. And so we're going to have to take a leadership position and take steps off the beaten path to kind of blaze our own trail in life. What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come